out in stores tomorrow chronicles what happens when a young 20-something finds her much wealthier New York relatives that she didn't know about before. She regrets nothing. Also pulls from real-life themes society is struggling with today, including gender and economic disparity. Joining me now is Edmonds-based author Andrea Dunlop. Welcome back.
Hello. Thank you, Margaret. Thank you for having me.
I enjoyed reading this book. First of all, the book is pink, so I'm excited about that. But it's a page turner.
Thank you.
A page turner. Where did this idea come from?
Well, you know, I lived in New York City for 6 years after graduating college. And so a lot of, not that characters in the book are based off of people per se, although maybe some are inspired by people I met. But this really is my this is really my sort of love-hate letter to New York City.
It was, yeah, I related to it in that way too, from my time there. So tell us about the protagonist.
So my protagonist, if you can call her
yeah.
Is Lila Lawrence. So she is a 20-something who discovers after her mom dies that she has a wealthy family in New York City that she never knew about, and she decamps to join them there and reignites a long buried family scandal in the process.
The characters of the folks who are in New York already, describe that to us and what sort of person we're talking about in terms of this new family she tries to integrate into.
So the Lawrence clan is a wealthy family whose wealth only goes back a couple of generations. So actually the patriarch, Frederick, is the person who originated the fortune. And one thing that was sort of inspired by the way that matches up with the Michaels family, whose money goes back a lot further, is when I moved to New York from the West Coast. I'm originally from this area. I found that was something that people in New York cared a great deal about.
Right.
And so that's sort of
how old is your money?
How old is your money? Where did you go to school? Where did your forebears go to school? How long have they been here? How long have they been wealthy? So that was something that I had.
And it's pretty
striking,
isn't it? Because
it is.
Care less.
I would say it's shocking, actually, when you come from outside of New York, and especially I think from the West Coast, where certainly we have a lot of economic issues that we did not have when I was growing up here, and those things have gotten a lot more pronounced, I think, in Seattle. But yeah, coming from the West Coast and having grown up in Woodinville, which was very sort of out of the way place when I was growing up there, coming to New York City at 22, it was very shocking.
Yes, there's a steep learning curve.
Yes.
So there are gender, obviously there are class and money issues in the book, because we see our girl go into this kind of hostile territory. Although she's got some sharp elbows of her own.
Yeah.
So there's some interesting things that go on there. But there are gender issues that you wove through there. I know they're important to you personally. How did you want to portray those throughout this novel?
You know, I didn't think so much about sort of how I wanted to portray certain things as much as sort of painting a realistic picture of what it's like to be a woman in your 20s and a woman in your 30s in New York City in particular. But as I was saying to someone the other day, I really think that New York City is this place that's almost sort of hyper-American in a way. It's sort of a microcosm in where things are in extreme that are really prevalent in sort of our entire society. And one of those things is sort of sexism and misogyny and double standards for men and women. And so those were all things that I thought a lot about while I was writing the book, and also just pulled from a lot as from my own experiences of being a woman in my 20s in New York. And I could never have anticipated the conversations that would be happening when I actually published the book, right? Because I finished writing the book. I finished really writing most of the book in the summer of 2016.
Well, I enjoyed that part because I related to that as well. I think things are kind of turned up to 11 in New York, and it's not like they don't exist other places. Right. It's just that you can't ignore it when you're there. And if you're not from there and you go there in your 20s, it's, it really is such a culture shock.
Yeah.
What was it like for you living there and trying to write and whatever else you were up to at the time?
Yeah, so I actually worked in book publishing. So one of my main characters, Liberty Lawrence, actually probably the only truly likable character maybe in the book.
Yes, I almost blurted out something I can't tell you.
Right, no spoilers. She actually works in book publishing, so she's an agent. So I had actually a lot of fun kind of writing some of the book publishing stuff. So I worked as a publicist for Doubleday when I was living in New York, and so I That was a really fun job. I got very burned out on both the job and the city by the time I left, but for a while it was really fun. It was double days a part of Random House, so I was working for this massive book publishing company, and it was very exciting, and I got to meet a lot of authors and really interesting people, and got to go to the green room of the Today Show and all that kind of thing. I also had some incredibly negative experiences in that role, particularly with men, and some men in publishing and some male authors. And I actually was saying to a friend, I'm part of an organization here called Seattle 7, which is a nonprofit that's dedicated to literacy and appreciation for literature in our community and beyond. And I was actually saying to a friend that's a member that actually, until I was part of Seattle 7, I really sort of had a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth about male authors as a group because of that experience. So,
but there's some good ones out there.
There are some really good ones, and all the ones that I've met that are part of Seattle 7 are wonderful.
I'm just seeing a ton of essays in here that need to be written, and you have a couple of books already out. This one is coming out. Are you working on something else?
Yes, so this one comes out tomorrow, and I am working on a new novel. So
excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Where is this new novel set?
So the new novel is going to be set half in Idaho and half in Buenos Aires. So it's about a former Olympian that undergoes a family tragedy.
Wow.
So, yes. She's going to be watching the Olympics a lot.
She's got so much going on in here. I love it. Thank you so much for visiting with us.
Yes, thank you for having me. It was great to be here.
And a bonus for everybody in today's studio audience. Everybody's going home with a copy of She Regrets Nothing. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. Thank you, my dear.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much for having me.
Up next, the benefits of giving your shower a beautiful upgrade. You just want to stay in there all day. We'll be right back.